I'm Veronica. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make canned juice out of the berries that you have in your yard. So today I'm going to teach you how to can the juices. I will be picking two kind of berries today, the sour cherries and the black currant. Sometimes it's hard to find black currant in the United States. I have a couple of bushes in my backyard and I'm going to pick them today. So right now I came to the farm that allows me to pick my own cherries, berries. So I'm gonna pick some cherries for the juice that we'll go into can later. These are sour cherries, so they're the best for juices or jams because then they're not as sweet as the regular cherries that you buy in the store. Pot of sour cherries. So I'll can 6 bottles of black currant and 6 bottles of cherries. Will be a couple of pots to boil water in them. One more thing that I will need, this thing here that will help me to get the metal tints out of that pot in the boiling water. I will also need one of those strainers in order to pour the liquid, hot liquid into the bottles. I will need some sugar. I have 2 boxes of mason jars here, and these are the largest mason jars they have with wide mouth. These mason jars are 64 ounces. And of course, I will need the tops. There are 2 pieces to it. Since I used those mason jars in the past, I needed to purchase new lids. So these metal rings you can reuse until they start getting rusty. I usually clean them up, not in the dishwasher or anything like that. Just wash it by hand, make it dry off and store it. So I store them in the plastic bags like this year over year. But the items that I do buy are these lids here that I will boil in the water. So this seal here will seal the bottle after I boil them like this, and then there won't be any air going in and out to seal it. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So again, I save these. I reuse them a couple of times. They say that you can reuse these as well, but I'm a little bit hesitant because of the seal. Once you boil it, once you use it, or reusing it might not be the best practice. Plus, if you mark it here on top, like I marked the other cans from last year's, you see peach jam from a few years ago. So once it's marked, you really don't want to reuse them. Although, as you see, they're in pretty good conditions after 2 years being in storage and after I washed them. And I use these for the jam. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the stove on 400 degrees to warm it up on bake. And then I'm going to wash this bottle. So this is the juice we will be making today. It tastes like pomegranate juice, but it is black currant juice. You can make juice out of any berries you have in the yard or you picked somewhere else. It can be raspberries, strawberries, cherries, black currants. Any berries that have a little bit of sourness to it will be great for those kind of juices. It's great to preserve the berries, especially if you have the abundance of them in the summertime and you want to make juice cocktail or jam out of them or anything else that you like to bake. But I like to make juices because it's very easy. You only need 2 ingredients and there are no preservatives, no chemicals involved. All you need is berries that you picked out, maybe in your yard, maybe at some farm, maybe you picked your own. These cherries have pits in them and we're gonna keep it like that. All we're gonna do is wash the cherries. So this is the black currants that I'm going to make the canned juice with. And it's perfect because it stays preserved. It can last for a whole year. or maybe even 2 years. And they didn't lose their flavor, they taste delicious, and they have all those antioxidants and vitamins that you would expect from any berries that you preserve. This is the juice that I made last year. So as you see, there is no mold or anything weird going on inside of the bottle. I mark it usually on top what year I can it or when I made it. So I don't really fill up the whole bottle of berries. I just put a little bit at the bottom, add hot water with sugar. It preserves itself, and you can drink it for probably 2 years going forward. It's awesome. It has great flavor. I just tried it. So I'm going to make more for next year. These bottles are previously washed, so they're probably just a little bit dusty because they were sitting in the closet. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rinse them off, and I'm going to set them on top of this sheet. When the stove is hot at 400 degrees, I'm going to put all these bottles inside of the stove so that it disinfects and makes the glass super hot. When I buy these mason jars, I save the boxes because it's great for storage. So when you don't need these bottles, or if you want to store the juice cocktail or the bottles when they're empty, great to have these boxes because it's easier to store them when they're all in one box versus all over the place or all over the floor. In the United States, this size jars, the 64 ounces, are the largest ones they sell in all the stores. You can buy these at Tractor Supply, you can buy these at Walmart, you can buy them online. So these bottles are great to keep for many, many years because you can use them for different marinades. 1 year I can make juice or juice cocktail in them. Other years I can marinate tomatoes and peppers, make pickles. It depends on what you have in your garden. So you can pretty much marinate, can, or pickle anything you have or anything you like. And then I'm going to put all these bottles inside of the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. The maximum you should hold it probably is up to 20 minutes if it's on the 400 degrees Fahrenheit. It kills any kind of germs or bacteria that could be on the inside of the bottles or on the outside of the bottles. This way you don't have to boil the bottles when they're filled with liquid. After you pick the berries, but before you wash them and before you use them, is let them sit outside for a couple of hours to make sure that if there are any bugs or any kind of little insects, that these insects can be gone by the time you need to use the berries. In the meantime, I will continue cleaning up the berries that they are ready to go when the water is boiling and when my bottles are ready as well. I'm filling this little pot with water, and this is where I'm going to boil the lids for my cans. I'm gonna count 12 lids out of here. I'm not going to boil them all at once. I'm gonna do 6 at a time. I'm gonna do one kind of berry at a time just because we won't have enough syrup or enough water with sugar to fill all 12 bottles at once. So I probably will have enough water just for 6 bottles at this time. I also need to pick out 12 rims for my bottles, and I'm not going to boil them. These are only going to hold down those little lids that I'm boiling. So I have 12 of those. These are my berries, the cherries and the black currant that I washed. I prepped the towels. The cans will go upside down on these towels. The reason there are towels there, to make sure that if anything is leaking, it leaks on the towel, not on the counter. As you see, I have about 6 minutes left on 400 degrees in the stove for these cans to get super hot. I have 6 lids in here in this pot that I'm going to boil. So while I'm waiting for the water to boil, the next thing I need to work on is to make sure I add enough sugar in these boiling pots of water. So I usually don't really measure the sugar, or I don't have a specific proportion of water to the sugar. I usually add sugar and I taste it. The water should be sweet, maybe sweeter than normal, because the berries that I'm using are sour. They will absorb a lot of sugar, and the liquid itself or the juice might not be as sweet as you like later on. So it's okay to add extra sugar or make it more sweet than usual, because later on you can always water it down. After I put the sugar in, I'm going to wait until it boils again. And in the meantime, my bottles are ready, so I'm going to take them out. these bottles are super hot and super heavy. So you got to be prepared to take them out carefully and don't get burnt. So these are my very hot, even steaming 64-ounce bottles where I'm going to put the juices. So since I don't have enough water to fill all of them, some of them will stay empty until the next batch of water is ready. What I usually do is I cover them with a towel so they kind of stay warm until I'm ready with hot water. I'm going to cover it. Just keep in mind, if you're using berries that are not sour, maybe it's blackberries, maybe it's raspberries that are not very sour, to add a little bit of lemon juice in these juices, that usually helps with the juice. It helps to preserve it for a longer time, and it also helps with the taste. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the berries inside of the cans. All right, so berries are inside of this bottle. So you put the berries at the bottom. So it's probably 1/3 of the can is filled with berries. You can do a little bit less. You can do 1/4. But since I had enough berries, I put 1/3 in each bottle of these berries. Because I want to make sure my lids are ready to go. 3 and 3. I have 6 of them. So this is boiling hot water in here. Now I'm going to fill these bottles with water. With the syrup that is sugar and water combined, and that was boiled. Since the pot is so full of water, I don't want to risk it and just pour it out of the pot. The baking sheet at the bottom will trap any water that might spill or go around the bottle. So liquid needs to go all the way to the top. Put it on and tie it up. Once you put the lid on it and tighten it up, you don't have to make it super tight, because when you're going to be opening it, it's going to be so tight you won't be able to open it without putting it under the hot water so it expands. So I tighten it up, but not super tight. It's already covering my water and it's covering the lid. And all I'm doing is turning the bottle upside down. This way, all the water goes on top of the bottle right here, and it pretty much seals it. And then you don't have to worry about putting this in the hot boiling water or any kind of containers. This is it. This is done. So once the water is in there, I turn it around, it vacuum seals it when it's cooling off, and it's done. And it's gonna last you the whole year. Now I'm going to do this to the rest of the bottles. As you see, the cherry already changed the color of the water. It's gonna get even darker with time as the berries start absorbing the sugar. All right, some of my water is already boiling in the smaller pot, but I'm still going to wait for the large pot to boil with the hot water. In the meantime, I'm going to prep the second portion for the black currants, because the cherries are done and I just showed it to you. Now we're going to work on the black currants. Now I'm going to fill the bottles with the berries, just like I did the other ones. They're a little bit cooler now, so you can kind of touch it now. But I'm going to repeat the process for these bottles as well. Again, I'm going to do it with my hands. So I'm going to make the next batch. Now I need to fill the bottles with hot water, close them, turn them, and they will be ready to go. And this time I'm going to use my metal pitcher, but this will be faster to fill up those bottles. So I'm not going to pour the water in all of them. I'll do one at a time, because this way I want to make sure it's sealed properly. And I can fill it up to the rim all the way. There we go, perfect. I'm going to close it. Now, one by one, I'm going to put them upside down. The water is still clear. The berries are on top. Once I turn it upside down, the water color will start changing. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video and watching it. I hope some of my tips of canning juice cocktails or juices were helpful to you, and you can do it at home as well. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video if it was useful to you and you would like to see more. Have a wonderful summer.